my lecture. My topic is phonetics in the perspective of English language teaching. Actually, before I go into the detailed things, and most of the scholars and the professors teaching English must be knowing that linguistics is a very big discipline which deals with the analysis of the language at different levels, starting from the sound level to the sound system level, the words, the sentences, and the meaning. And but especially the foundation of linguistics starts with the phonetics and phonology. And especially phonetics is a kind of subject which is more technical and scientific. And people usually say it's a hard nut to crack. And especially in terms of teaching, it has its own relevance. But I have tried my best in my lecture, in the given short time, I have tried my best to say something about the phonetics and its role in teaching English as a second language or as a foreign language to the Indians here. For example, let me say that phonetics is a subsystem of linguistics. There are something like phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics are there. And there are other allied areas related to linguistics that I will mention in the later part of this lecture. And when you ask me a question, what is phonetics? It is a subject, it is a science that scientifically studies speech sounds, otherwise known as technically as phones. For example, we say that a, e, o, pa, ka, and ka, m, like this. These are sounds for many other people, but for a linguist or a phonetician, these are called phones, but they are meaningless. Okay, they doesn't have any meaning like this. But the sequence of them form words and then other follow-up things like this. And when we look at the phonetics, what it tells us to the learner is that it talks about how the sounds are produced, how sounds are travel in the air from the speaker to the listener, that is the propagation, and also how the sounds are perceived by the listener and how the listener perceives what is told to him. That is the perception part of the speech mechanism. Okay, so we call it the production part, the propagation part, and the perception part. And these things, three aspects of the speech sounds are respectively known as the articulation of speech sounds, the acoustics of speech sounds, and also the auditory aspects of the speech sounds. And especially taking into consideration the teaching of English or any language for that matter, the phonetics is important, and more particularly the articulation of speech sounds are important. Okay, and when we talk about the articulation of the speech sounds, what we do is we try to describe a sound that we hear in terms of the articulation. Articulation, as you must be knowing very well, is a process in which an active articulator is moving toward the passive articulator in an attempt to produce a particular sound. For example, we say the sound pa or ba like this. Okay, what we realize or feel is the lower lip is moving toward the upper lip, make the contact, and when the contact is released, we get the sound pa or ba like that. So the lower lip, we call it as the active articulator, and the upper lip as the passive articulator. The movement of lower lip toward the upper lip to produce a particular sound like pa or ba is called articulation. That is more important in terms of pronouncing a particular speech sound. Okay, and based on all these things, we can say the knowledge of phonetics is very, very essential for learning pronunciation and attaining a very good skill in pronunciation of speech sounds. Coming to the teaching of English to students whose first language is not English and English as a second language, we put them under the group, the English language teaching. Okay, and especially we can say that there are many courses like English, EFL, English as a foreign language, ESL, English as a second language, etc. And they are one and the same. Even for English, where TESOL is there, teach English as a for speakers of other languages. Okay, so when we think of teaching English to the learner, we have so many areas of teaching it. For example, we can teach literature, we can teach poetry, or stories, or etc., etc. But when we put the teaching in a double quote, it means teaching the pronunciation, the utterance part of the sounds, the words, etc. So, which is very, very important. You see that if a person is not able to produce a sound in his own language, okay, then he is a very poor speaker of that language. And especially English as a language of prestige and is a global language, one is expected to be a master in this language, in English particularly. Okay. And English taught to people whose first language is not English, but who live in an English-speaking country. There are so many countries like this. Okay, like basically you can take our own country, India, also, where we actively learn English, but the situation is very queer here in India in terms of teaching English. For example, recently I read one big, very shameful news that the collector who visited a school in a rural village, when he asked the English teacher to read a particular few lines, she was adding each and every script and trying to cipher out what is there. But that was the condition of some of the teachers like this. It means that English learning and teaching is not in a very good shape in India. So this kind of input might help the teachers to get some idea to know what are the errors a teacher, students make, or even the teacher itself is not well aware of, can be understood, and can be some remedial measures can be done. So when we speak about language teaching, we come across 4 types of skills. Like one is the listening, the other is the speaking, and reading and writing. This is called LS or W skills, which may be very familiar to all of us. Two of them are called protective skills, and 2 are the receptive skills. Coming to these 4, we can say that speaking is very important for in using a language, and also the listening comes next to see that how we perceive and understand the sounds in a word to get the meaning of it. Sometimes, when we say something like pick, or say pig, sometimes if the first sound is put as big, so the person who wants to say pig is not producing it exactly, and he has some other word like big with a different meaning. So this kind of very minute variations should be taken care in terms of attaining the skill in the pronunciation. So as far as the skills are concerned, the listening and speaking are very, very important in teaching a language from phonetics point of view. Doesn't mean the other skills are not necessary, like reading and writing. Okay. And before I go into the thing, there are many areas which are allied to the linked with the linguistics, which call it the applied linguistics domain that I mentioned a little earlier. That is, for example, I put only very few, which should be known very much to you. That is a sociolinguistics, that is studying linguistics, that is as it is in the language of a society. And psycholinguistics, the linguistics and the brain function, and the computational linguistics, the linguistics with reference to the use of language in computers and in neurolinguistics and clinical linguistics. Also, the translation and lastly the language teaching and learning also are part of the other disciplines that comes under the major discipline applied linguistics. Here, particularly, we are very much interested in language teaching and learning. So, where we have many ways of teaching, and one particular part is the phonetics, which is very useful in teaching a language and in learning the language also. So, as I said earlier, pronunciation is an important aspect in using the language, and for the exact pronunciation of sounds, we have a set of organs, especially situated in the head part of our body. There are other organs in the throat and also the lungs and other related physiological system. Okay, they are useful in producing sound, but the actual articulation, the production lies in the articulatory system, articulatory section that is situated in our head. And you can see there are many parts. I want to label them at want of time. You can see the upper lip and lower lip. The tongue is a major organ, and the lower lip, which are very actively moving in the production of speech sounds. They are called the active articulators. And if you look at the roof of the mouth, there are organs like, the upper lip, the upper teeth, and the ridged area just behind the upper teeth, that is the alveolar ridge, and the hard palate, that is the roof, a bony structure, that is the roof of the mouth cavity or the vocal cavity, and also they have two sections, the hard palate and the soft palate at the end of the roof of the mouth cavity, which is also very, very important in the production of sounds. And also the pharynx is there, and below that pharynx we have the larynx, which is called the voice box, which is not shown in this picture. And it has the very important part because we have the pair of vocal cords there which control the flow of air from the lungs to enable the organs to move to produce a particular sound as wished by the speaker or the teacher or whomsoever it is. Okay, and the role of larynx is very important in the production of speech sound. I will come to you a little later. Okay, so the active articulators in the mouth are the lower lip and the tongue, and their movement and contact with the passive one, the upper part of the roof of the mouth, is called, as I said earlier, the articulatory process, and we get the different kinds of sounds there. Okay, and why I am very much talking about the active articulators, lower lip and tongue, and the passive articulators and the upper lip and toward the end of the larynx, like that, because when you talk about the speech sounds, vowels and consonants, vowels are produced with the active part taken by the tongue. The tongue is an important part, and it's a muscle, yeah, it's a kind of fleshy part, and it has a shape which can be changed very actively. And we look at the tongue at three levels. One is at the movement level. It moves up and down. From the bottom, it moves up. That is the vertical movement of the tongue, very important in producing sound. And also in the horizontal, there are, we can divide the tongue into sections like front and the central and the back of the tongue, and even the root of the tongue that you can see as like a small wedge appendix like. So why they are very important? Because each part, the front, central, and the back, even the root, are the parts of the tongue that are involved in producing the sound. So in the pronunciation or the production, these things are very important. And also, when I say something about the lower lip and the upper lip, they are also very, very important in the production of sounds. especially when we talk about the vowels. Okay, when we say E, 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 what do you feel? You can do yourself pronouncing the sound and feel right now also yourself that E. So the front part of the tongue moves up and the leaves are in the normal position. Okay, and the front part of the tongue is used. So the tongue rises vertically up. The front part is also taking part in the tongue. So then we get the vowel like E, E, like sit, seat, okay, sing, silk, key, king, kick, like that. Equally, the rear part of the tongue, the back part of the tongue, can also move vertically up toward the toward the soft palate, and we can have a sound like oo, 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 ooh, like that. So this way, as we produce the sounds, the things are very clear. The tongue has a good role to in the production of the vowels. And when we compare the E and U, we can see the lips are also taking part, which are very idle in the production of E sound, and but they are very active. The U vowel is produced. So what is the difference? They are coming, get rounded themselves to produce the oo, 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 like this. So this is one thing. The shape the tongue assumes within the mouth cavity is very, very important for producing a particular vowel sound. For example, you can think of ah, 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 like this. It's a kind of, the tongue comes to the very bottom in the mouth cavity, and the lips are in a neutral position, either the rounding position or in a spread position, like that. And when you say like the word like cat, 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 the sound, which is implied as we are going to see in the vowel chart. So the tongue has then different kinds of movements like this. So what phoneticians say is that different sounds that we hear as vowels is possible due to the different shape assumed by the tongue within the mouth cavity. Okay, so in the shape of the tongue is altered in coordination with both the lips, and we get the particular kind of vowel sound. Because if you see the definition of a vowel, it says that a vowel is produced without any obstruction to the outgoing air. For example, say E, A, O, U. The air from the lung is going without any obstruction. But when all the sounds are produced with the outgoing air, even with any obstruction, and how do they differ from each other? That is a very interesting thing. That is what I said. The air is flowing in a different manner because of the different shape of the tongue assumed within the mouth cavity. So the shape of the mouth cavity determines the particular vowel sound, and in phonetics we call it a vowel quality. Vowel quality is determined or restricted by the shape of tongue that takes within the mouth cavity. Okay, and that is why we call it. You get the E is different from U, and O is different from O, and O is different from A. So if you take the even 5 vowels in English and say E, A, O, U, like this, then you can see there are different movement of tongues like that. But it is not a 5 vowels we use in speech as we learn English, but there are so many number of vowel sounds are possible that we will see some of them a little later. And coming to the, I want to say something like this. Maybe it is known to many teachers or the teachers of English about this. That is the British English, the American English, the African English, the Canadian English, the Australian English, the Indian English, or the different kind of thing. Because earlier, the beginning, we knew about only the British English and the American English. Later on, the linguists started identifying the peculiarities of the English being spoken in Africa, in Canada, in Australia, and especially in India. So they classified it on the basis of how the English is spoken, how the pronunciation is there, how the words are considered, how the sentences are produced, like that. So this is just for information. But coming to the Indian English, I should be very, I should not fail in telling one thing, because Indian English is not the only one English. Okay, it's not unique for whole India, because India is a multilingual country, and there are many language speakers. There are 22 scheduled language, and everybody speaks English in the official, for the official communication. Okay, for example, we have the Tamilian English, we have the Malayali English, we have the Telugu English, we have the Hindi English, and also Punjabi, Bengali, Odia, like that. But no one will accept that each and every language speaker speaks English in the same way. That is the very funny thing about Indian language. Okay, and there are many studies available on the Indian English. Many researches have been done, books have come out. If you go through the English in India, especially the central in the University of in Hyderabad, for the it is now called EF, English for Foreign English and Foreign Languages University. Earlier it was called Central Institute of Indian and Foreign Languages. Okay, they have good publication that could be of very use to us. Okay, now when we talk about the pronunciation of sounds, vowels, and the consonant particularly, so we have a guidelines that is restricted by the International Phonetic Association, called International Phonetic Alphabet. Okay, and they have listed and so many number of vowels. These are called, in another sense, are the cardinal vowel system. Okay, I'm not going to explain this, it will take a very long time, but you can see there are vowels at the periphery of the vowel diagram, and also that inside. Okay, and they have the closed vowels and open vowels, front vowels and back vowels, and central vowels. So if you want to be a very good phonetician or the speaker of English, that you should know how these sounds are produced. I can also do some demonstration, but the time doesn't permit me to pronounce each and every vowel sound listed here. I can say only one example. For example, in the closed front position, you have the I symbol, I kind of symbol. It's called E phonetically. The E, 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 like that. And parallelly, you can see the Y sound, where you can see the front E is produced the lips rounded. E is with a spread lip, but Y with a closed lip. It could be like E, 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 E. See the place and the height, everything is same. The front of the tongue, and it is in the upper part of the root cavity, but they are produced differently because it is like that. Okay, the change because of the rounding and rounding like this. But such V sounds are present in some French language and other related language also. So what I'm trying to say is, this is a common chart for vowels, which should be mastered by any phonetic researcher or researcher linguistics or the learners of English to see how these sounds can be produced. And it is for the universal alphabet, for any language user can use it. And coming to the consonants, we have the different charts like this. You see, this is almost all the sounds which are used, all the consonant sounds used in the world languages are available here. Okay, and you can see there are two things which is very important for the production of the speech consonant sound. For example, in the vertical axis we have the plosives, otherwise called stops, nasals, trill, tap or flap, fricative, and lateral fricative, approximant, lateral approximant. These are These terms refers to the manner in which the sounds are produced. For example, pa, ba, pa, ba. There is a plosion, okay? That is the way it is produced. And coming to the nasal, the ma, ma, and na, 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 and also na, 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 and also we got nya, 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 and like we have the vera sound, and you are very difficult to produce. These are nasal sounds. You see, this is a kind of a very resonant sound. So that's called nasal. And coming to the till, we have three like this, like br. The bilabial till is called br, br, br. And also we have the sound, but the r is something different in American English and British English and other varieties spoken outside India. Like that, we can say there are so many things are there, and the manner are like this. And if in the horizontal axis, you can see the places like bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, and goes up to the glottal, like line. Starting from pa, ba, it goes in a vertical, in the horizontal direction like this. What do they label? They stand for. These are called the places of articulation, where the active articulator touches the passive articulator. As you might remember, the speech organ picture I showed just ago, a few minutes ago. Okay, the two lips bilabial, ba, pa, pa, ba, like that. And also there's a no labiodental stop, but even labiodental fricative like fa, fa, lips and dent, upper teeth, they contact fa, fine, fine, and wine, was, etc., van, etc. So it goes like that. The places of articulation together with the manner articulation is to be learned by the learner. Otherwise, the learner may fail in producing the particular sound. In addition to these two aspects, one more aspect is very important. That is where the learners commit more mistake. For example, if you look at the plosive section, there are two vowel sound, two sounds are symbols are there: pa, ba, tha, da, tha, da, ka, ga, etc. Okay. So why? Because, and also here the fa, ba, like this. Wherever there are two symbols, the left one is always the voiceless one, and the right one is the voiced one. The voiceless and the voiced one is a kind of a pair that we use it. For example, if we take the bilingual sound pa and ba, okay, you can say pin, quit, quit. You can say bin, bin, and bit, bit, like that. So like that, you can say coming to velar kind of thing, ka and ga. You say kick, 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 and then gag, gag, gag. So how do we differentiate the two sounds which have the same manner and same places of articulation? This is because, as I said earlier, larynx is the place where we have the vocal cords which is responsible to produce a sound with the voicing and some other sound without any voicing. Okay, that the function of vocal cords also very important. When it vibrates, we get the sounds like ba, the, ga, and da, like that. When it is not vibrating, we get the air is coming without any vibration. You have the pa, ta, ka, and etc. Okay, and this thing, this variation in English we can find only in the plosives and the fricatives and affricates. Affricates is not listed here because there's a reason for that. Okay, like itch and idge. For example, when you say the word church, 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 the sound in the beginning and the end is produced without the vibration of vocal cords. And when you say the judge, 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 the word, the sound in the beginning and the end have the voicing ch, ch, j, ch, j, like that. So the voicing and the voicelessness is another aspect of the consonant sound. And this is, as I said earlier, this is common for all the languages. You can use it. But coming to the English phonetic chart, here we concentrate on the received pronunciation only, because as in any other languages in India and abroad, a language is spoken with so many varieties. Okay, there are direct regional varieties, or we call it dialects technically. But in respect of these variations, we have one variety which is called standard. So as far as the British English is concerned, we call it the received pronunciation. The importance of received pronunciation is that in official communication or in official speech, everybody is expected to speak with accent or the other phonetic features, like with the, which is defined as the received pronunciation, which is being spoken in the southern part of the London city. It is called as, otherwise you have the Yorkshire English, etc. And so these are the consonants that we have in, sorry, these are the vowel. This is the vowel. I'll come to the consonant here. Okay, so we have only three nasals, and the consonants, affricates are there too, and fricatives are many in English and also in Indian languages, and also approximate. These are the vowel sounds, the E in the front and the U in the back, like this. Okay. This, what I want to say here is, when you are very much sure about the not the alphabet of the English that we are not going to teach or we are going to learn, but actually the sounds that I have depicted in the form of chart of our vowels and consonants should be produced, which should be learned for producing a particular sound. And this is other thing. So when coming to the Indian English, being a multilingual country, there are many languages being spoken, as I said earlier, and we use this for our official interpersonal communication, like this. And the pronunciation of sounds in English is impacted very generously by the speaker's mother tongue. Okay, for example, I would say Tamil in English is quite normal, like, you know, for example, we take a word like college, 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 office, office, office. But if you are Malayali, you say, I am going to college, 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 office, office, office. So the word is same, but the pronunciation is different. But in such cases, you know, that teaching them the exact pronunciation is very important. What is the actual pronunciation scheme as per the registered pronunciation, how we differ from the basic norm and changing it because the mother tongue influences this. For example, when you talk about the word school, 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 school in English, okay? Then if you take up a Hindi speaker in the areas like, you know, UP and Bihar, and where especially the Muslim speaker, they cannot produce the particular initial cluster, initial sound, like school, is school, school, school. The word of the day is, it's a school, it's a school, it's a school, because that kind of, you know, vowel combination, sound combinations in the initial portion of the word is not there in the language. So they introduce a vowel like this, is a school, like this. And even in Tamil Nadu also, the Muslim speakers, when they say school, they say school, is school, like this. It's even the word station, station is that, is station, recitation like this. So there are some of the minutes that we do with the pronunciation of this. So Indian English is very much impacted by the speakers of the particular state language. I can add one more thing to be very clear to you. For example, the Odia speaker, okay, they are very strange in saying the word like communication. Communication. The shun is the end of the word. It's a kind of suffix added with any other thing. Intermission, communication, education, like this. So it is like sh, in, shun, shun. It's a kind of shua vowel in between, shun. But uniformly, all the speakers in Odia, they would say like, communication, communication, education, okay, sun. In the place of shun, it is sun, like this. Similarly, if you go to the state of Gujarat, I lived there, I know that the sir, a kind of fricative, just like sit, or like that. They change it into another fricative, like sh, this way. How, for example, if you ask them to say police, for example, police, but they say Polish came in the morning, Polish, like you say English. So they change that in phonetical like the alveolar fricative, voiceless, into a palatal voiceless fricative. So that kind of changes are also there. And there are many other examples the scholars might have come across. For example, the word plate, P-L-A-T-E, plate, is a Punjabi speaker say palate. They kind of metathesis works there. Because all is because of the impact of the speaker's mother tongue. So when we teach a particular person in a particular state, we should know what is his mother tongue, what are the sounds, what is sound system, how the different sounds are same. Pa is there in all the languages, Ba is there in all the languages, Sa is there in all the languages, but they are pronounced differently. So we should remove those discrepancies and have to see that how that particular sound is perfected to the level of RP in teaching English to them. Okay, that is more important, and also the important duty of a English language teacher or the teacher of English language. That is good. Okay. Then I'm coming to the end of my lecture. I've taken a few more time. The schwa sound is a very important sound in vowel sound. It is very predominant in thing. To understand this thing, for example, the word like above, go, which is spelled as AGO or ABOVE or again. So people, we say that above, and ago, like this. What happens is basically the schwa symbolized like this, as you see, is a reduced a, is a half of the full a. But the a, when it comes in the first syllable in English, with the second syllable receiving the stress, so it reduced into a half vowel, half a. But many of us is very poor in pronouncing this schwa vowel. So we should have a set of words with schwa in the initial, schwa in the medial position, and to try to teach them. And also the other vowel is O. We call it a broken O because no full O is possible in English. You can't get it in the pronunciation scheme. But we have something like O long. That is a broken O pronounced as a long vowel. So here also, this is not property produced. For example, if you take the word COT, cot, okay, we say I purchased a cot. I purchased a cot from the shop. Cot, okay, but it is not the right pronunciation. We say I have got a cot. The lips slightly rounding and the back of tongue moving not to the mid level in the mouth cavity. Cot, like this. And also we have something like boy, oh. But what we say, he is a good boy. We say he's a good boy. Okay, we never is the exactness of the vowel is pronunciation of or is not there. Okay, then the diphthongs, they are the very difficult thing to be realized by the listener or the learner, because they have 8 diphthongs. I've taken only a couple of them for the understanding of this. So here I have taken the A. Okay, the A is pronounced like today, day, day. I would say today, A, like this. But interestingly, in the one of the if I remember, it is Austrian English. The A is replaced the I diphthong. Okay, there is a kind of funny comment on the use of this particular diphthong. For example, one person said, I came today. He said I have come this day. Okay, so he said the English speaker say I come today, the British English. But the Australian speaker, perhaps I'm right, he says I came today, which means not D-A-Y, he said D-I-E in spelling. So one will be shocked why this person has come to my house to die. Okay, so the pronunciation of this particular vowel, diphthong, is very important. It is pronounced differently. Also, the diphthong O, like so, S-O-W, so is become the broken O, like so, like that. There are many examples, but I'm just put only the limited occurrences like this. And the occurrence of the W symbol, like where in the production of which we round the lips and then complete the word, like where. But how do we do? We say where are you, like this. So there's no lip rounding, nothing. So this is like it's of where do you do, where do you live, but say where do you live, like this. So it becomes a kind of labiodental fricative V in the place of the approximate like this. And the another thing is the voicing and devoicing. As I said earlier, the stop sounds and the fricatives, they have the distinction of voicing and voicelessness. But many other time, for example, they give the example of pa in the voiceless pa in the beginning, sometimes become voiced ba. The examples are there a lot. And in the word final position, the voiced ba become ba. For example, G-R-A-B, grab, C-R-A-B, crab. So people who tend to say like, grab, and crab like this. Similarly, the initial position, when say, when we say like, pin, they will say bin like this, kind of no slip of the tongue like this. Or the pig, they say big like this. Also, I have come across the components like F-O-N-T, font, a voiceless labiodental fricative fa. So I have heard people say bond, the typing, the letters that we do type, in the computers, called font. But they say bond like this. This is a very, very annoying kind of pronunciation like this. Similarly, the fricatives it and id, the, they are fricatives, are the dental fricatives. The left one is the voiceless and the right one is the voiced one. But they are interchanged like this. For example, when you say tick, it is voiceless. Tie is voiceless. But they tend to say dick like this, or die. They interchange that way. Okay. This also we say on the basis of the voiceless and voice equality. You can teach them that this the first one is th, like thick or thin or thigh, like that. The second one is voice, like then, there, like that. Okay, so we need kind of set of words for that. Interestingly, the another set of fricatives, s and z, is very interesting one. For example, both have the same manner and same place of articulation, but they differ only in voicing. Okay, so sa is voiceless, z is voiced. For example, particularly I told the example of Gujarati English, where the s is become sh, a palatal fricative. Also, even in other normal situation, they say, in taking the word and the plural nouns like boys, B-O-Y-S, boys. Okay, what do? We say boys, but phonetically it is a voiced z sound, boys. This script voice is voiceless in the spoken form become a voiced one because of the phonetic environment, because there's a vowel before that, E, so that makes that s into z like that. So this is one thing. In some English, it has been reported that it become a kind of sh, sa become sh, and za become j, like that. Actually, the j is a kind of palatal fricative, which is like pleasure, leisure, like that. But it is differently. But in other occasions, it is the z sound is modified. Perhaps I remember in Dangal movie, Hindi movie, one of the characters with the hero, Amir Khan, he's go to a guest house and he asks, what time is it now? Is, okay, in the, what time is it now? He says that what time is it now? Okay, we can count them as being not fully educated, but that is a kind of example where the voiceless alveolar fricative becomes a voiced alveolar fricative. And coming to the lateral sound, it is very simple because almost we have more than one letter sound in English in Indian languages, but it's only one sound in English. But there are two qualities. One is called clear and a dark like this. I can give the example. One example, like little, little, or lull, L-U-L-L, or little, L-A-T-T-L-E. The L sound, the beginning and in the end are different, okay, in the pronunciation. For example, it is very clear like lamp. The first one is lamp, little, or lull, lull, like that. But when you say the word lull, lull, oh, you can see the articulators are moving in a different direction, not direction, but there's a different kind of movement like this. So the back part of the tongue moving up toward the back part of the roof like this. So the back one, the rear one is called a dark and the front one is clear like this. So this kind of differences can be used. And also we can say in the Hindi speakers of English, they use the word cable, cable, and a table. They say table, table, and cable, cable. So that is a kind of anomaly in the pronunciation. So this is again because of their mother tongue, perhaps Gujarati, like this. Also, so this is one thing. And the other interesting sound is the R sound. Okay, it is a very simple trill sound in like in say red, ready. Okay, all the English speakers, Tamil, Indian speakers of English, they say like like very good, very good. I got a red sari, red sari. And more annoying is the Hindi speaker, they cannot produce the R sound in some word like sari, sari. So they say sari, adi, da, da, adi, adi, like this. A kind of a flap sound. Okay. So even I tried to teach one of the Hindi speakers in a big officer. He said, no, a ra sound I cannot produce, sir. I can only say sari, sari, like this. I said, go to hell. Okay, that is the thing. That is the role of the teacher of English, to see that, to take him out from his mindset and then teach that ra like this. Right? Okay, this is, but even the ra is not as simple as we think in Indian English. It is a kind of erotic sound, like no. And in American English, you can say worry, worry, not worry, 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 worry. Where the tongue curls, goes up, curls back, and then come forward, a very kind of ballistic movement, we call it in phonetic. So very good. Depending on the word, it is different. But as we have seen in the chart, it's not a trill sound, but it's a kind of different, peculiar kind of articulation is there in RP and even in American English also. So when you want to be very accurate in using the sound, we should learn that kind of the erotic R like this. Okay, that is very, I wanted to one thing. And okay. Okay, there are so many other things also. For example, the silent letters are there. I say silent letters. For example, I say father, okay, F-A-T-H-E-R, father, brother, they get the R-E-R, E-R sound. But in the actual pronunciation of say, we say father, he is my father. I have a brother, the R end is absent at the end. But we very sincerely say father, mother, especially, you know, if you go to the Telugu speakers and the Kannada speakers, they say very seriously, he is my brother, he is my father, he is my sister, like this. Also, in the Telugu speakers, you might have come across the word I-R-O-N. It's the iron, it's the iron, iron. They sincerely introduce that sound like this. So such speakers or learners, they would say, they tell them that the R sound is absent toward the end of the word is very, very essential. Okay, and maybe I come to the end of my lecture. I'm sorry for taking too much of time. So, while teaching English in the classroom, the exact pronunciation of space sounds is essential. The syllabification in terms of syllabization of words is also important. I did not touch this point, the syllable structure. Also, there is another aspect of pronunciation or learning English speech. So, that is, English is a stress-timed rhythm language where stress plays a very great role, like this, in contrast to syllable-timed rhythm of Indian languages. So, as we all know, no Indian speaker of English use stress. Okay, maybe sometimes they use it for style, but not very seriously. So this difference should be taught to them, and they be trying to use stress. The stress can be at the level of word or the sentences. Also, in English speech, in addition to the segmental sounds, vowels, and the consonants, the knowledge of stress, pitch, rhythm, and intonation have to be mastered learning English. This comes under the prosody feature system or the supra-segmental system. So these are the few, the many requirements for the learners of English. But these are the very important things that I have listed here. Thank you. I'm very sorry for two things. One is that I've taken a little more time for my presentation. Also, there are so many things I wanted to tell you in regard to things, but want of time, I have reduced myself to only a nutshell kind of presentation. And I've given my email ID and mobile number. So people who want to learn more can contact me or communicate to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. I once again thank all the people involved in this, the Saradha Gangadharan College management, the faculty in the Department of English for their kind invitation, and also to the wider audience who are assembled here to listen to this one-day internal seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.